What if I told you that some of the most powerful medicines that exist are not found in a pharmacy or locked away in a laboratory, but are literally written in the Bible? It sounds strange, I know. But while most people rush to buy pills for any discomfort, there are plants mentioned in the scriptures that have accompanied humanity for thousands of years, healing in silence. And we're not talking about baseless beliefs. We're talking about plants with real scientific backing, plants that modern science is beginning to validate, confirming what our ancestors already knew without microscopes or clinical trials. Today I'm going to show you 20 of them, and I'm telling you right now, this could completely change the way you understand health. Stay until the end, because number 17 wasn't just valuable. In biblical times, it was literally paid for as if it were gold. And now science has just discovered that it regulates blood sugar better than some medications. And number 20 doesn't appear just once or twice, it appears more than 500 times in the scriptures. It's the ultimate symbol of life. And interestingly, cardiologists are just now beginning to understand why. If you're interested in this kind of content, subscribe to Sembrando Races. Here we connect ancestral wisdom with modern science, so you can stop relying on superficial solutions and start taking real control of your well-being. All right, let's get to the point. These are the 20 biblical plants that can transform your health, ranked from impressive to absolutely amazing. Number 1, aloe, the funeral plant that heals the living. You've probably seen it in your bathroom or at your grandmother's house and thought, yeah, it's good for burns. And that's it. Wrong. Aloe is mentioned in one of the Bible's most profound passages. It appears in John 19:39 when Nicodemus brings a mixture of myrrh and aloe, about 34 kilos, to prepare the body of Jesus. Think about that for a second. 34 kilos. That's not symbolic, it's not decorative. That was a treatment reserved for someone extremely important, and this is where almost no one connects the dots. The aloe wasn't there out of tradition, it was there for its therapeutic value. In the ancient world, aloe vera was considered one of the most powerful plants that existed. The Egyptians called it the plant of immortality, and Cleopatra used it daily. And it already appeared in medical texts from 4,000 years ago. Now comes the interesting part. Modern science finally caught up. Clinical trials have shown that aloe gel speeds up wound healing, including burns and surgical wounds. It reduces inflammation, improves digestive health, and can even help with inflammatory bowel diseases. And it's not magic. The clear gel inside its leaves contains more than 1,000 active compounds. Vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and polysaccharides that directly stimulate tissue repair. In practical terms, you get burned, you get cut, you have skin irritation, you cut a leaf, apply the gel, and the relief is immediate, literally. For digestive problems, its juice can calm inflammation throughout the entire digestive tract. But of course, modern industry arrived. Creams with strange names, chemical formulas, side effects that nobody reads. And aloe became just a home remedy. When in reality, it still does the same thing it did thousands of years ago. It's just that now we ignore it. It's curious, isn't it? A plant that was considered worthy to accompany Christ at his burial. It's probably sitting in a pot right now, just a few meters away from you, waiting for you to remember what it really is. Incense, the gift that keeps on giving. Incense appears more than 20 times in the Bible, from the sacred oil in Exodus to the gifts for baby Jesus. And here's a question that almost no one asks. Why incense? Why something so specific? Is it mentioned alongside gold? The answer is simpler than it seems, because frankincense, especially from the Boswellia species, has been one of the most powerful anti-inflammatories known to mankind for more than 5,000 years. Its resin contains boswellic acids, compounds that modern science has shown to reduce inflammation in a way comparable to certain medications, but without the list of side effects. And this is not just a theory. There are clinical studies that show real improvements in people with osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, asthma, and even inflammatory bowel diseases. Published, peer-reviewed, validated research. We're not talking about smoke. Although, interestingly, smoke also helped, because the priests burned it in temples, not just for the aroma, but because that smoke had real respiratory benefits. Frankincense works deep in the body, blocking the enzymes that trigger inflammation in your body, and that changes everything. Traditionally, it was used in various ways: burned for respiratory problems, mixed with oils for joint pain, or even ingested for internal inflammation. Today you can find it as an essential oil or supplement, but quality matters a lot. And it's no coincidence that it's still expensive. Thousands of years ago it was worth as much as gold. Today the good stuff is still not cheap. But here's the uncomfortable part. Western medicine set it aside, not because it doesn't work, but because synthetic alternatives appeared, which are easier to patent and sell. The problem? Those alternatives come with side effects: liver damage, stomach problems, cardiovascular risks. Frankincense doesn't. It keeps doing the same thing it did thousands of years ago, without destroying you in the process. There's a reason it was considered a gift fit for a king, and 2,000 years later it's still fulfilling its purpose. Number 3, myrrh, the forgotten antiseptic. Myrrh appears alongside frankincense in that famous scene, but also in Exodus as a key ingredient of the sacred oil. And when you understand what it really does, everything makes sense. Myrrh, which comes from the Commiphora myrrha tree, is a resin with extremely powerful antimicrobial properties. Ancient doctors used it to clean wounds, treat infections, and maintain oral health. And yes, modern science has confirmed it. It has real antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-inflammatory effects, even against certain resistant bacteria. In other words, what used to be ancient medicine is now starting to look a lot like what we call advanced medicine. The traditional use of myrrh was straightforward and uncomplicated. It was mixed with wine or water as a rinse for inflamed gums and infections. It was applied to wounds. And it was also taken for digestive problems. But what's really intriguing isn't just how it was used, but where it appears. Myrrh was present at the birth of Jesus and also at his death. It was not a coincidence. It was a living symbol of something much deeper. The bridge between life and death, between sickness and healing, between decay and preservation. And there's a curious detail: its taste. It's intensely bitter, the kind that makes you wonder if you should really be drinking it. But that's precisely the key. That bitterness stimulates digestion and enhances its antimicrobial effects. Today you can find it in the form of essential oil, tinctures, or resin. Although, as always, quality makes the difference. Over time, Western medicine set it aside. Antibiotics and synthetic antiseptics arrived, and, well, you know how that goes. But in traditional Middle Eastern medicine and in Ayurvedic medicine, it never disappeared. For oral health, wounds, or digestion, myrrh still does exactly what it did thousands of years ago. Quietly, without marketing, but it works. Number 4, olive, the tree of life. The olive tree is the one plant found throughout the entire Bible. From Noah's dove returning with a branch in Genesis, to the oil used in rituals in Numbers, and the instruction in James to anoint the sick with oil. It's not a coincidence, it's consistency. The olive tree is literally intertwined with the idea of healing. And when you look at the science, everything fits. Extra virgin olive oil, especially cold pressed, is one of the most studied foods in modern nutrition. The Mediterranean diet, based on it, is associated with a lower risk of heart disease, strokes, diabetes, and even lower overall mortality. That's no small thing. Its monounsaturated fats and polyphenols reduce inflammation, improve cholesterol, protect against oxidative stress, and take care of your cardiovascular system. But in the Bible, it wasn't just eaten or applied. It was used on wounds on the skin as a base to mix with other medicinal plants. It was both food and medicine at the same time. The use was simple but powerful. Apply it directly to the skin, ingest it for digestion, or use it as a vehicle to enhance other herbs. And here comes the important part. Anointing with oil was not just a symbolic act, it was therapeutic. The olive tree represented peace, prosperity, blessing, and healing. And it's no coincidence that some olive trees, like those in Gethsemane, are over 2,000 years old. They are literally living witnesses of that history. Olive oil never disappeared, but we forgot why it was sacred. It wasn't just food, it was medicine. And it's still just as effective today. Number 5, hyssop, the plant of purification. No, hyssop appears at key moments in the scriptures. Cleanse me with hyssop, and I will be clean, says Psalm 51 in Exodus. It is used to mark the doors during Passover, and at the crucifixion it appears again. But here's the point that almost no one mentions. It wasn't chosen at random. The hyssop has real properties. The plant, known as Hyssopus officinalis, contains compounds with antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral effects. Yes, just what you need when you talk about purification. Modern science has confirmed that its essential oil fights respiratory pathogens, and it has been used for centuries to treat cough, bronchitis, and congestion. In addition, it has anti-inflammatory effects. The traditional use was clear: infusions for the respiratory system, gargles for throat infections, and external applications to clean wounds. Now think about this. When the ancients used hyssop in purification rituals, they weren't just doing something symbolic, they were applying an antimicrobial plant. In other words, they were reducing the spread of diseases without even calling it that. That's not a coincidence. That's practical knowledge disguised as ritual. Over time, it was replaced by disinfectants and antibiotics. But in traditional herbal medicine, it never stopped being used for infections, the throat, and the respiratory system. Hyssop keeps doing its job. Silent, but effective. Number 6, fig tree. The poultice that saved a king. The fig tree appears many times in the Bible, but there's one story that changes everything. In the book of Kings, today King Hezekiah was gravely ill, on the verge of death, and the prophet Isaiah gives a very specific instruction. Take a cake of figs. No complex rituals, no mystery, just a poultice. They applied it to the tumor, and the king recovered. Direct, practical, functional, and yes, it works. Figs contain enzymes like ficin with real therapeutic properties. Science has shown that their extracts have antimicrobial effects. And the use of poultices to treat boils, wounds, and skin problems is documented in multiple cultures. In addition, they are rich in fiber, minerals, and antioxidants. In other words, they don't just heal on the outside, but also on the inside. Traditionally, fresh or soaked figs were mashed, and they were applied to inflammations, abscesses, or infections. At the same time, they were also consumed to improve digestion and relieve constipation. The story of Hezekiah is not just a spiritual account. It is evidence of something more unsettling. The scriptures also recorded practical medicine, and it worked. Today, the figs are still there. In supermarkets, in markets, in backyards, they're still effective, but now we see them as a snack. Ironic, isn't it? The same fruit that saved a king. You eat it while distracted by your phone. Number 7, pomegranate, the fruit of the temple. In biblical times, the pomegranate was not just another fruit. It was a symbol. It appeared embroidered on the garments of the priests, representing abundance, life, and something more that we're just beginning to understand. Because behind that symbol, there was a real reason. Modern science not only supports it, it has put it on a pedestal. The pomegranate, Punica granatum, is among the foods with the highest concentration of antioxidants ever recorded. It's not an exaggeration, it's a fact backed by measurements. Clinical studies show something very clear. Its juice improves heart health, helps lower blood pressure, fights inflammation, and can even slow the progression of certain types of cancer. And it doesn't stop there. Yes, improvements have also been observed in blood flow, cholesterol levels, and artery health. The key? Compounds like punicolagens and other polyphenols, antioxidants that are more powerful than those in green tea or red wine. Yes, more powerful. The traditional use was simple. Eat the fruit, drink its juice, and use the peel, which interestingly has even stronger properties to treat diarrhea and infections. Even the flowers and the bark had medicinal uses. Now understand this, pomegranates weren't there to decorate the temple for looks. They weren't embroidered on the priestly garments just because they looked nice. They were symbols of life because they literally sustained life. They knew what they were doing. The pomegranate never disappeared. But we mentally downgraded it to a healthy fruit, when in reality it was high-level preventive medicine for the heart, inflammation, and longevity. It keeps doing the same thing it did thousands of years ago, only now we underestimate it. Number 8, cedar, the wood that protected the sacred. The cedar of Lebanon appears more than 70 times in the scriptures. That's no coincidence. It was the main material of Solomon's temple, and not just because of its appearance. The cedar wasn't chosen for its beauty. It was chosen because it protects. The wood and its oil have real antimicrobial properties. It's not a myth. The Cedrus libani produces aromatic oils that repel insects, resist decay, and act as natural antiseptics. Modern science confirms it. Antibacterial, antifungal, and repellent properties. The traditional use was very logical. Burning it to purify spaces, using its oil on the skin or wounds, and storing it near food or textiles to prevent them from being damaged. It was basically a natural preservation system. And here's the detail that most people overlook. When the scriptures talk about the use of cedar in purification rituals, in the construction of sacred spaces, or even in treatments like the ones described, it wasn't empty symbolism, it was functional. Cedar actively helped prevent contamination and decomposition. Today, the great cedars of Lebanon are in danger, but their essence is still alive in oils from related species, and they continue to serve the same purpose: to protect, cleanse, and preserve at the molecular level. Number 9, mustard. The medicine the size of faith. Jesus used the mustard seed as an example of growth. But behind the metaphor, there was something more. Mustard was not just an illustration, it was medicine. For centuries, mustard plasters, made with ground seeds mixed with water or oil, were applied to the chest to treat congestion, colds, and even pneumonia. Did they work? Yes, because they generate heat, and that heat increases blood flow, helping to relieve congestion. Modern science has identified the responsible compounds, glucosinolates, which are transformed into isothiocyanates, It sounds technical, but basically they are substances with anti-inflammatory effects and potential anti-cancer properties. In addition, the seeds are rich in minerals and have antimicrobial properties. The traditional use was quite comprehensive, including poultices on the chest, foot baths to reduce congestion, and direct consumption to stimulate digestion and circulation. However, here's an important warning: mustard is no joke. If you leave a poultice on for too long, it can burn the skin. It was used carefully, with respect, because it was potent. With the arrival of modern medicines, it was replaced by decongestants and antibiotics that, by the way, often only mask the symptom. Mustard does something different. It helps the body do its job. It doesn't replace it, it activates it. However, before I reveal number 10 to you, let's be honest for a second. You're interested in all this. It moves you, it wakes you up, but then you go back to the same old thing. Scrolling, distraction, noise, and at the end of the day, you don't apply anything. It's not a lack of intelligence, it's a lack of focus. That's why I'm leaving something below that, if used well, can change the game for you. A 30-day free trial of Audible. Real audiobooks. Ideas that get into your head while you're walking, working out, or driving. No extra effort. No, I'll start tomorrow. It's in the description. Use it, or keep consuming content that entertains you but doesn't transform you. Number 10, mint. The herb that was even tithed. Jesus mentioned mint in Matthew 23:23. He criticized the Pharisees for obsessing over tithing it while ignoring what was important. But there's a key detail there. Mint was valuable enough to be part of the tithe. That already tells you a lot. In the ancient world, mint wasn't just a flavor for tea, it was medicine. For thousands of years, it has been used for digestive problems, nausea, headaches, and respiratory conditions. And science once again confirms it. Peppermint oil has been shown to be effective for irritable bowel syndrome, reducing abdominal pain and inflammation. Peppermint tea helps with nausea and indigestion, and menthol, that freshness you feel, is no coincidence. It opens the airways, relieves congestion, and can reduce headaches. It's one of those plants that seems simple until you understand everything it does, and then you never see it the same way again. Simple, direct, and effective use. Peppermint tea after meals for digestion, oil on the temples for headaches, and steam to clear your airways. And the funny thing is, it grows everywhere so easily that we stopped respecting it. But there was a time when it was so valuable that it was offered at the temple. That's how important it was to take care of digestion when there were no magic pills. Mint never disappeared, but we stopped seeing it as medicine. And yet it still does the same thing. Relieves nausea, soothes the stomach, clears the head without complications. So you're starting to notice the pattern if you realize that the scriptures spoke not only about the soul, but also about the body. So stay tuned, because this is just starting to get interesting. Number 11, rue, the bitter protector. Rue appears alongside mint as one of those herbs that were tithed meticulously, and it wasn't by chance. It has a strong, bitter taste. The kind of thing that doesn't exactly tempt you, but works. It was used for digestive problems, inflammation, and even menstrual discomfort. Science has identified compounds like rutin and flavonoids with real anti-inflammatory effects. But here's something important. It's not a plant to use without thinking. It can cause photosensitivity and even stimulate uterine contractions. In other words, it's potent and demands respect. That's why it was pushed into the background, not because it's useless, but because it requires knowledge. Rue reminds us of something uncomfortable. Not all medicine is gentle. Some are intense, and that's precisely why they work. Number 12, cilantro, a reminder of manna. When the Israelites described manna, they compared it to coriander seeds. That already tells you something. It was a common reference. Cilantro, both its leaves and seeds, has been used as medicine for thousands of years. Today we know that it helps with digestion, it fights microorganisms, and can influence blood sugar levels. Yes, even that. Some studies show improvements in glucose and lipid profile. Traditionally, the seeds were used for gas and bloating, and the leaves for cleansing and digestive balance. And here's where it gets interesting. Cilantro never stopped being used, but we downgraded it to a condiment, when in reality, it was a therapeutic tool. However, before I reveal number 13, pause for a second and be honest with yourself. Do you realize that what you're hearing could completely change how you understand your health, and yet most people will never make it this far? You did. That says more about you than you realize. Leave me a comment with, I can't see this the same way anymore, because once you understand it, there's no going back. Number 13, cumin. The silent healer. Cumin appears in biblical texts related to wisdom and care, and that's no coincidence. It has been used for more than 4,000 years as a digestive aid. And today we know that it also helps regulate sugar and cholesterol. It contains compounds with real anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. In practice, infusions for digestion, and constant use in the kitchen as preventive medicine. It never left our lives. We just stopped seeing it as more than flavor. Number 14, garlic, the medicine that built empires. When the Israelites remembered Egypt, they remembered garlic. And it wasn't nostalgia for the taste, it was for what it did. Garlic is probably one of the most studied plants in the world. And the results are compelling. It supports the heart, strengthens the immune system, and fights bacteria, viruses, and fungi. It lowers blood pressure. It improves cholesterol and protects against heart diseases, all thanks to compounds like allicin. The Egyptians gave it to the workers who built the pyramids, not out of tradition, but for performance. And here's the ironic part. For years, it was dismissed as a home remedy. Today, even doctors recommend it. Garlic didn't change. Did our perception change? Number 15, onion. The medicine that nobody takes seriously. Onion went hand in hand with garlic and had the same status. Rich in sulfur compounds and antioxidants like quercetin, it offers antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and cardiovascular benefits. It was used in poultices for the chest, it was eaten raw for infections, and it was part of daily care. During epidemics, people placed onions in the rooms. They didn't understand the mechanism, but they sensed something, and they weren't that far off. Today it's everywhere, and that's why no one values it. Number 16, balm of Gilead, the medicine that became a legend. Is there no balm in Gilead? It wasn't an empty metaphor, it was a real question, because that balm was one of the most valuable medicines of the ancient world, a resin used for wounds, inflammation, and infections. So precious that it was given as a gift to kings. Today, the original plant is almost non-existent, but its legacy remains. It became synonymous with healing, and that tells you everything. Number 17, cassia, the spice that was worth gold. Here is the one I mentioned to you at the beginning. Cassia was so valuable that it was weighed like gold. It was part of the sacred oil, and not because of its aroma. Science has shown that it has antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory effects and regulates blood sugar. It improves insulin sensitivity and helps keep glucose levels stable, thanks to its star compound, cinnamaldehyde. And even though today you see it as cheap cinnamon, it still does exactly the same thing. Number 18, cinnamon, the bark that moved empires. True cinnamon was even more valuable than cassia, and the scientific evidence is solid. It improves blood sugar control, it fights inflammation and has antimicrobial effects. It increases insulin sensitivity and protects multiple systems in the body. It was used for digestion, infections, and as part of ointments. Today it's common, but there were wars fought over it. Wars. Number 19, saffron, the red gold. Saffron wasn't just expensive, it was exclusive, and it still is. But what's impressive isn't its price, it's its effect. Studies have shown that it can improve symptoms of depression and anxiety, with results comparable to some medications. It also protects the brain, reduces inflammation, and supports visual health, a species with real neurological impact, all in just a few strands. Number 20, the vine, the heart of everything. More than 500 times in the scriptures, the vine is not just a plant, it's an all-encompassing symbol. Jesus called himself the true vine, but beyond the symbolism, there's biology. Grapes and wine in moderation have profound effects on cardiovascular health. Polyphenols like resveratrol protect the heart, reduce inflammation, and promote longevity. They improve cholesterol levels, reduce risks, and explain phenomena like the famous French paradox. Wine was not only ritual, it was medicine, and grapes were sustenance for thousands of years. If you've made it this far, you can see it now. This is not just spirituality, it's practical knowledge, validated. These plants are not a myth. They are medicine, and they've been there all along, waiting for someone to look again.